This is Fort Davis. It was a key post for the defense system for West Texas to protect the people against the Comanches and the Apaches. It was active from 1854 until 1891. Right here you see Don is walking past some men's barracks. They've restored two sets of enlisted men's barracks. And this one, the very first one, has the office in it, the park office. This one, they have the cavalry, infantry, artillery, and transportation exhibits. And then this other one across the breezeway has a squad room. It's a glimpse of the summer of 1884 when it was occupied by Buffalo soldiers of Troop H, the 10th Cavalry. Back here is a mess hall and kitchen. It's the ruins, and in the distance is where they had, you can kind of see horizontal lines, it's where they had the stables. And they do have a more modern stable out there now with 2 horses and 2 mules. Fort Davis was at its peak in 1886. It became a National Historic Site in 1963 when they started restoration. It's a total of 523 acres. It's really a neat place to go to see how they used to live. What you see in front of you is the ruins of a guardhouse. And then over here to the right, which over my right shoulder, you can just barely see some ruins on the ground. We just passed a bunch of barracks, enlisted men's barracks, because beyond the ones that are restored was a length along the parade grounds of just the foundation. Here we have something that's kind of in between. It is an enlisted men's barracks, but you still see part of it standing. They're in the process of restoring it, as you can see. Straight ahead is the commissary, and the ruins that are to the left is the bakery. This is it. It has a gigantic fireplace. I'm sure they did a lot of baking in here. I'm not sure what this opening is for, if it is to get ash out, or I really don't know. But very interesting how it's built. Here we're walking up to the restored commissary. They say that they tried to use as many of the original materials as possible. And when they couldn't, they tried to replicate them so that it was as authentic as could be. So this is like works that would have been from the mid to late 1800s. When you walk in, here to the right is the sergeant's office, and he would have been the one who ordered and accepted the food products and really everything they had to order. The enlisted men, they had rations every day, and the officers could buy food products at cost, plus they had to pay shipping. I'm not sure what this other room was used for, but they do have some displays that show like this uniform that it probably be tight on me. The guys were a lot smaller back then. And then back here is where they actually stored the food.
For breakfast, we had beef hash, dry sliced bread and coffee. For dinner, sliced beef, dry bread and coffee. For supper, Coffee straight, just dry bread and coffee. The food was very poor.
A sergeant stationed at Fort Davis.
Here you'll see what's called Officers' Row. There are little kind of like apartments for the officers. And in the back of each one of these little apartments, there was like a fenced off yard. You can still see the base of the rock wall on the ground where it kind of outlines. They have restored, each one would have a kitchen, which is what you see in front of you. They have restored this particular one so that you can see what it was like for each one of them. So you can see in the distance the remnants of the walls. This is where each officer had a servant that would cook for them, and it was a 2-room place, and that servant would also live in these quarters. As you can see, this one is from 1872 to 1891. They kept these kitchens separate because of fire, and also because of the heat in the summer and the bad odors from all the cooking. This is the post hospital. They have really done a good job restoring most of it, and they have 2 wards that could accommodate up to 24 patients. This is one of the wards. They've got it furnished and set up like it probably would have been back there. This particular ward would hold about 12 people. Here we are in another little area that has some isolation type rooms on the right. On the left here is a dispensary. This whole hospital was staffed by a post surgeon, a hospital steward, soldier nurses, cooks, and a matron. They rarely perform surgery. Soldiers mainly suffered from diseases and accidental injuries. This is the post surgeon's office and some of the tools that he might have used. Now here we're walking up to an unfinished part of, or an unfinished ward, and there's a breezeway in between them. I look towards the back, and now we're looking out towards the parade grounds, and then coming up here on the front porch. So as soldiers were recovering, they could come out and walk on the porch and get some fresh air. It was also a nice little place in the back they could go as well. Now we've walked back over from the hospital to the commanding officers' quarters. It was kind of in the middle of Officers' Row. It was constructed in 1869. And here we'll kind of walk through and look in some of the rooms. This served post commanders until 1891, but they've furnished it from the period of 1882 and 85 while 10th Cavalry Colonel Benjamin H. Grierson and his family lived there because they had lots of letters and notes that kind of told them how things were situated. I thought this was pretty neat how they did that. That's a cistern, the ruins of a cistern. I thought this was pretty neat how they set it up, so you could really kind of see what these officers and soldiers back then, how they lived, and get a little glimpse of how it was like. Here we're walking outside on the front porch, and you can look down and see that this is in Officers Row, kind of in the middle. And the front of the apartment or house, it looks towards the parade grounds. Here we are at the McDonald Observatory, where Don and I decided to take some of their tours. The first thing that we got to see was a solar viewing, and that was a live look at the sun using their 107-inch Harlan J. Smith telescope. We also had kind of a teaching moment in the theater, and it was really a neat experience. We had to wait just a little bit in between the solar viewing and touring the telescope, so I stepped out back. They had a really nice little patio that I stepped out back. You can see both of the telescopes that we're going to drive up to and take a tour. You could either ride in the tour bus or you could drive. So we drove on our own because they really had more people than they had room in the bus, and that was no problem for us. Anyway, we drove up there and got to see first we toured the 107-inch Harlan J. Smith telescope and got to go on the floor, and they gave us a tour. Here it is right here. And really long, extensive tour, which I'll have another video that for all of you space nerds, you can watch that one in its entirety. Then we got to have a tour of the Hobby Eberly telescope. This one is not what I expected, because it is actually like a giant dish that faces the same type of opening in the dome, but it's just all of these mirrors put together like a honeycomb, and they actually create a 30-foot wide aperture. And it collects information much like the other telescope, but just in a different way, so it could be large. I think that it is considered the second largest in the world. We decided to drive to Marfa one day, and this is a perfect example of the winds we have been experiencing while here in Texas. This giant dirt devil, I think it's the biggest one I've ever seen. We saw plenty after this, but it was just crazy. Very, very windy, dry, and flat. Marfa is known for the area where they made the movie Giant. That was that 1956 movie starring Elizabeth Taylor, Rock Hudson, and James Dean. That was James Dean's last movie. They also are known for their beautiful courthouse. And I think they're kind of known being an artsy town. Plus they have these mysterious lights called the Marfa lights. Here you can see just how windy it truly is. Ty's going for a ride. Ty, you going for a ride? Look, are you going with Daddy? All right, be good. All right, see ya. Okay. I thought I would bring you out and show you what we're dealing with. I'm not sure what the winds are, but boy, are they strong. Okay, here we go. We got some gusts coming. Woohoo! Bringing it out here where you can see it a little bit better. Maybe like that tree, those trees. It is blowing hard. Those trees in there. It's blowing the GoPro around. When I took Ty to the bathroom earlier, we were under these trees behind me. I had to hurry up and get out of there. They were blowing so hard I thought maybe a branch was going to break off and blow down on me. Okay, it's just sustained winds now, which I'm not sure what they are, but the gusts are horrendous. Well, I brought you out so you could, wanted you to see what the gusts were. I was coming out of the bus and I opened up the door and the door flew open. I still had my hand on the handle and it pulled me out. It swung open and pulled me out. No big deal, I just had to go down the stairs really fast. And then when I went to go back in after taking Ty to go to the bathroom, the door swung back on me and hit me. And our bicycle, I'll turn here, I think you can see it. We have our bicycles done up right behind me. And that cover has almost blown off a couple times. I've tried tightening it. I think I need to tighten it again. So, welcome to Texas, y'all. Oh, there we go.